because all engage so much deep concern on the cybersecurity issue. So which I don't want to go through this. That become very controversial. Even recently, even yesterday, and CNN made a report. So the security, national security, maybe need to re-examine about the interfere with the private policy or not. But anyway, the U.S. and China, and I really think there are opportunity of the collaboration between U.S. and China, and I think that China have a lot of manpower, human power. They can do all those things. They can almost reverse the engineering in anything they can nowadays. But nevertheless, China compared with the United States, the innovation still a long way to go. Even you talk about it, most of the innovation, everybody say, oh, Chinese must be pretty good. You have so much Nobel Prize and all those things. How many of them are produced in China? So if you really want to thinking about the innovation and try to develop in China, it's extremely difficult. I can tell you one of the reasons, because I was the dean of the Beijing University. I take one way, I go back. I spent all my 50 years in the United States. I never follow anybody else's step. Because I think if I want to go back to China and try to teach the China innovation, that means I don't know. I have to not be the copycat. I have to be the one to create the things by myself. So in the United States, over 40 years experience, I never copy anybody. The reason because I try to train myself to have innovative spirit in China. And I did go to China, I tried to do that. Then I find out tremendous difficult. Even you are the dean, you know what? And all the people, they follow the dean. At the beginning, they are fighting with me because they say, hey, you are not American, you are not Chinese. You don't know what is our system. They give me all the hard time whenever I want to change anything. Then later on, I did one thing, nobody did that. I interviewed 150 faculty. I talked to every one of them. And also I meet with 2,000 students. I met all of them. I have a town hall meeting, all those things. That Chinese doesn't know how to handle that. And they say, got it. Then listen, I say, don't ever fight against with me unless you talk to everybody else, to listen to everybody else. So I try to bring the American some style into Chinese, and I find out it's not difficult. Then later on, I find out they start to listen to me, then they start to copy me. Do you know what I mean? That means they do anything to make me feel good, then they get away with everything. So which means innovation, try to be creative, to be independent. Even at this moment, this time, is not very obvious. Even in the university, you call Peking University, is the #1 in China. They are the one that have more rebellious than anybody else. If you say Tiananmen Square, all the leaders, they're all the students from Peking University. Some of them from my school. I know that. They know how to rebel against all those things, but in order to try to make something become system, still a long way to go. So I think in that sense, United States and China, the collaboration can be mutual benefit. And I have to say one thing, and United States is very good for the bottom up, but not very good for top down. China is very good for the top down, but not for the bottom up. So we need both ways. We need the infusion and from the China and to the United States and United States to China. The best way to do is not through the government to the government. The best way to do is from city and city, from the people and people. I really believe the people, and I've been in the United States for 50 years. I really believe the people between U.S. and China, they really know how to get along. They really can make something work together, as long as we avoid the government. The government is the one giving more trouble than we debate all the time, including nowadays. And I think U.S. have a difficult time is between the party, the difference. And Chinese in that sense is much easier. And the reason because somebody say, no, whether right or wrong, you go and do it. And here, you talk a lot, but very difficult. So in the United States, they have a lot of big thunder, but very little rainfall, with no productivity. So those are kind of things you mix between the U.S. and China could be very useful for both countries, and which I think for this coming century, we need it for both of us. So in that sense, I think the green building and sustainable community is the one of the things, and I think I will try to use this time. I would like to see a national conference, international conference to be organized in China next year. Why I want to do next year? Why I don't want to do this year? This year is the one thing. China is going to have their policy made. They are going to put some platform over there in November. And let them try a little bit. Let the China then try a little bit. By that time, you can find out what is the plus, what is negative. If we organize 1 year later, we try to have an international conference, and I will try to tell you what I'm doing there and how much progress we have made. And when I say the international conference, I don't mean just US and China. And then with the test and all the things, we want to do the green building and all those things. And I can save the slide to all of you later on. And even the green building and green technology. I don't know you all know or not. Between United States and China, after 2008, for the last few years, both countries spent more than $1 trillion invest in the renewable energy. Both United States and China. My question is how many jobs we generated? Why is the problem? And that's not only happening in the United States, it's happening in China too. Okay? So, which means we're not efficient. And we made a lot of investment over there, but we are not able to bring the result out. The result for me is employment, create a job. So I think the collaboration is very necessary. It's easy to say, but I don't see this at this moment, this time. Everybody talk about it, collaboration, but very few little action and can be seen. I've enjoyed the U.S., China, and nationally conference and on the green energy things. And I'm the only one, both delegate from China and United States. So I was in Washington, D.C., I was in White House, and I was in, when Obama visited Beijing, I was there too. So, and I was trying to say, but one of the things I think United States and China can do, that's one of the reasons I would like to see the conference can do. I think we all talk about climate change. Finally, in the United States, we're talking about climate change. Very simple. The reason because we have our energy and issue solved. We have natural gas, and we don't have to be too much dependent on export, import oil. And I think by October, start from October, China will be the #1 and imported oil country, and will overcome the United States. Because the United States will start not only they can and have a more and energy for themselves, and also United States could be one of the countries is going to export like natural gas and like other things. So I think the energy policy, which is going to make during the Obama administration, no matter people like it or not, I really think they're going to push and through the Congress and both Senate and Congress for energy policy and climate change. And which I think, one of the things I think United States and China can collaborate is to establish the standard. Because we talk about carbon footprint, everybody talk about every country, 20% reduction, 15% reduction, but there's no standard over there. You have no measurement. Everybody can hand wave, say I reduct how many percent, but how you can validate? We have no international standard. If United States and China can make that, provide a standard between US and China, and I think both are the #1, #2, I don't care who if they say, are the biggest polluter. If they are able to define the carbon footprint and the standard, then the rest of the world, and they are going to adapt it. So United States and China, I think one of the joint missions is to create a joint standard and of the carbon footprint. So measurable criteria, low carbon emission economy, the renewable energy, recycle, reuse, and all those things. And so I think both country collaboration could be one of the few. Very important, you have a standard. Why? Once you have a standard, then you have a chance to generate a job. For any kind of job, you will generate it for small, medium business. Standard is the key. Once you have a standard over there, then it's easier and to create a job. If you don't have the standard, you don't create a job. So I can say the energy, both countries spend $4 trillion between US and China. We have not created too many jobs. one of the major problems is no standard project. And also I have very important industry chain, upstream and downstream. And I think the most important thing, which is specifically China needed, small, medium business, and which United States is much better. And so I think United States always thinking about how to give China and technology, and China sometimes emphasize too much on hard technology. They never respect too much on the, I call soft power. United States have so much soft power, can export, and they really need to take advantage of our so-called soft power. And that, I think, China is very needed. But very difficult people to sell the soft power. So the transparency, I think, in order to everybody ask me, so what is the talk you're going to give? What is the message you want to give? What China is going to become for the next after the policy? China is facing, very simple, the first 30 years and development is because the labor cost cheap. Now they want to develop the next 30, 40 years. They must depend on the knowledge-based economic development. What I mean, the knowledge-based economic development is must emphasize on innovation. And you must respect the intellectual property. You must rule by law. Must be transparent, which I think is easy to say. I think it's very difficult to implement in China. But that actually has created tremendous opportunity for United States, and also can work with China. Innovation, intellectual property must be restored, and the transparency ruled by law. And you're going to find out the rule by law, easy to say, but very difficult to implement. China have more law than anybody else, but nobody believe it, nobody follow it. So you can have all the law, but you don't follow it, that means you cannot implement it.
It's actually, it should be rule of the law, or it should be by the law.
No, rule by law.
Yeah, of the law.
Yeah,
It's
of the
still,
law.
yeah.
Rule by law, rule of the law.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we can go through more discussion. So I think and we need China and need to be more proactive than reactive. And one of the most important things, I think both the United States and China, the future human being, if we want to say economic development, is system integration. System integration. And I think I run 3 or 4 mayors conference between the United States and China. You find out, it doesn't matter you're mayor from China or mayor from the United States, they all find out the city management. The right hand doesn't know left hand doing. You think this is the only thing in China, that's not true. In the United States too. If you just look at the water issue in South, even our transportation, air quality issue, it means we don't. And the right hand doesn't know the left hand doing. I think integrate system approach is the opportunity for humankind, which means you don't have a genius come out, it means we find something. You have to accumulate the knowledge. Then you find out again. And I think so that could be the new opportunity for economic development and leadership advancement. And I think like that, and when I was in Peking University, I did establish a call for extension service, economic, environment, equity, education, extension service. I think extension service in the United States is one of the most remarkable thing. In the agriculture extension service and all those things, I think United States become the #1 agriculture and country is because the extension service. And China definitely need to learn that. So when I was the dean, and I accepted in China on the I call it 4 extension. And then in the meantime, in China you have to make a slogan, okay, like 4. Like this, you talk about this, and then everybody can remember. So I call 4E, 4I, interdisciplinary, integration, internalization, innovation. It's very easy to talk about the interdiscipline. It's very easy to talk about internationalization. And it's easy to talk about innovation, but integration is the most difficult one. If you ask the president of the Harvard, Lawrence, and he was in Peking University, he always say, we are the #1 one. So everybody challenged, say, how much have you been able to integrate Harvard University? You know, you compare with the MIT, they can do much better job than Harvard. Because Harvard, everybody is a big center ego. Everybody is the best. So very difficult. And even Lawrence Summer, and he agreed. He said the most difficult job he ever faced as the president of Harvard is the integration. So integration, system integration is the challenge, not only for the Harvard president, it's for China, for everybody too. So and what I try to say at the end of that, in China, if anybody know, and the East and West, whenever you put the East and West, the word together means something. Do you know that? So I say in Chinese, 不是东,不是西,不是东西. If you're not East, you're not West, you're nothing. You are East, you are West. At the same time, then you're something. Why I want to say that? I think you have to remember, what is the East way of thinking and West way of thinking are very different. The East way is you can start everywhere, you end up everywhere. Self-consistent. You start everywhere, then end up everywhere. That's the East mentality. The West is about the wedge. You start from someplace, you always end up to the point. PowerPoint, viewpoint, everything you have to the point. So in a sense, in the end, you reach the point, you forgot the whole thing. So that's sometimes you say the Western mentality is really about the wedge. They're very good in penetrating in the depth, but sometimes not able to be consistent and self-consistent. The Chinese, you can say, you can start from everything, then you end up everywhere. That's a good point. But what the point, if you don't know the logic, you don't know anything, you don't know where to start, you don't know where to end. That's what the Chinese problem before, okay? So I think for the future, for the 21st century, is we must combine the East and West. And then in some sense, collaboration is necessary. So I don't want to say I can show you about the business opportunity, which I try to put up at the conference, and I hope to hear every one of them here. I hope to have the international collaboration. And I very quickly summarize, my international collaboration is one thing, not only the collaboration with the United States and China, I even able to bring the Middle East and Saudi Arabia willing to participate in our international conference. So I think the Middle East is very important because they are the one, they have all the money, oil rich, but they do not have, you may be surprised at all, the job, the unemployment for the Middle East and between the age of 18 and 28 is more than 20%. The reason because they have no small, medium business. Everything is like an oil company. They grant it. Then in the end, they have a lot of social instability. If you want to watch Saudi Arabia, and I think sooner or later, they cannot keep all the way, keep it together. And I don't know if they will end up like Egypt or like Iran or not. But nevertheless, the Middle East, they're very nervous about that. So I think the Middle East and are willing to work with China and also work with the United States. And I also get a European community, and they are going to join in this conference. European community, they need badly. The reason because the unity and how to put the euro together, I think is very critical, not for Europe, I think for the rest of the world. So I have all the projects, I list over there, it's just for the discussion and later on. And I just would like to say the important thing I listened to over here. I think the important thing in China and need to learn all this is the process. And it's the process. And also in the future, I hope they know how to appreciate so-called soft power. And I think even the United States need to pay attention about the marketing, the soft power. I think it's very important. As far as the renewable energy, I give 4 examples. The renewable energy, why we are not really in trouble? Because we don't link them with the major, simplest way. And I think renewable energy need to link with food, settlement, and also transportation. And I will tell you, and then one of the most important area which we can jointly develop, waste for fuel. And I think that is a win-win situation. I did make some recommendation and for some of the city and to organize, and you all can later on just for discussion. But I rather open this up because I don't think you want to reestablish and the so-called modernization of China and economic development for the address the triple challenge for climate change. We really do need to work something together. So I will leave this for discussion, question and answer. And thank you. Hi, how are you?
I just wanted to say, my name is Alexandridis from Georgia State University, and I was looking at my pictures yesterday coming here, and there is Chan with some very important people in Beijing. I took the picture, 1987, I'm presenting it to you. He was the founder of China Tech, and China Tech was a partnership between CAST, the Chinese Science and Technology, Chinese Science and Technology Association, a membership of 5 million managers and engineers in China. What I'm trying to say is this man has been saying these things in the last 50 years, and he is now a prophet because everything he said is turning out to be true. And he, therefore, is acknowledged not only in China but in this country as a man who has brought the two countries so much closer together. And when it comes down to his area, he is Ichiban, number one. Thank you.
Thank you. And also Professor Alex is from Georgia State in over there. And how about, because time constraint, we will leave about, how about open for 3 questions? Because
Okay.
So we will open for 3 more questions for Professor Jiang.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a very informative presentation. I was asking, you talk about all these integrated issues. Have you ever touched the political structure? Because you're talking about the scholars, the city mayors in the states, they're calling for money, while they're come from China, they are not worried about that because they have they can leverage all the policies to collect the money by, for example, by saving the land. So what's your point on that?
Can you repeat again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just about asking the political processes on all the issues you discussed. I mean, there's a big difference between the political system here in the States and in China.
I think that's the reason. I think a political system between U.S. and China never say without any turbulence. Always there, no matter what. Because these two countries, fundamentally, they have a lot of things maybe in common, but a lot of the ideology, and basically they have some conflict. And in order to make these two countries to know, it takes many years. If these two countries can work together, then everybody else can work too. I just want to say that's a fundamental challenge. I've been between the two countries 50 years. I know all the problems, and I know I have not given up. The reason because I think it's important if they ever know how to work together, they can shine some light for the rest of the world. That's the same thing I was talking about. The European country must stick together because they provide some of the common denominator, which I think the human process need to be done. So United States and China fundamentally, and I think between people and people, I don't see any problem. Between the government and government, I see all the problem. And don't mention about China and government between the Chinese government or United States. Between United States, different party, you're going to have a problem too. Okay, but between people, I don't see any problem. So I really feel that the hope about this is grassroots. That's the reason I believe the city is city. Find out the relationship is much better than the government and the government. So I really believe the urbanization problem is to become the global grassroots problem. And this is not only true for China. Okay, I think this is true the whole world. That's the reason the World Bank, I was one of the co-authors. We don't fund any money to the country anymore. We only fund the money to the city. The reason because we believe city are the grassroots or the infrastructure, non-government structure and non-central government structure could be very important. central government give more and actually barrier than the possible solution. That's my